No matter what happens here today, you are loved. You are loved.
Now you've intrigued me. What are the un-American ideas that are indoctrinating our youth?
Yes, Senator Tom Cotton says the nation's wealthiest colleges are indoctrinating young people with what he calls un-American ideas. He is proposing a new tax targeting the largest private endowments. He says it would raise $2 billion a year. I wonder, does the president believe that our wealthiest schools are indoctrinating our youth with un-American ideas? And would he support such a tax? Is it a good idea?
Now you've intrigued me. What are the un-American ideas that are indoctrinating our youth?
The legislation doesn't lay out the precise...
He's not specific about the indoctrination by leaders from universities?
Well, he's been critical of, for example, the 1619 Project. He's been critical, spoken about critical race theory. He's claimed that there's a liberal bias on campus that targets conservatives, I think would be a way to put it.
What's he going to do with the money?
He wants to use it for programs for, I'm having a hard time coming up with the word, when you have job training, those sorts of things.
Without much detail of where he thinks our youth are being indoctrinated, it sounds very mysterious and dangerous. Although I don't think we believe that educating the youth and leaders of the future leaders of the country on systemic racism is indoctrination. That's actually responsible. But I would say if he's trying to raise money for something, then our view is there's lots of ways to do that. We know that a number of corporations hugely benefited financially during the pandemic. They could pay more taxes. We think the highest 1% of Americans can pay more taxes. And if he wants to have a conversation about worker training, we'd love to have him over and have that conversation.
Before I speak to the committee, I would like to address the transgender youth of the state of Arkansas as a real father does, a real father of a transgender child. No matter what happens here today, you are loved. You are loved. No matter what happens today, we will prevail over this injustice. I come here today knowing full well that nothing I say will persuade this committee. You're hell-bent on passing this bill and running it through the rest of the legislature. You know that this bill is unconstitutional and will not survive federal courts. The Supreme Court has already found that transgender Americans are protected from discrimination. Justice Neil Gorsuch, joined by 5 Supreme Court justices who still sit on the court, that's 6, that's a majority, wrote that it's impossible to discriminate against a person for being transgender without discriminating based on sex. And discrimination based on sex violates our U.S. Constitution. You know this bill will further stagnate our state's economy. Diversity and inclusion are good for business. Discrimination imposes enormous productivity costs and exerts undue burdens. No economy in the history of the world has flourished under policies of hatred. Business will leave this state. New business will not come to this state. Remember North Carolina? As a business owner who pays tens of thousands of dollars in taxes to this state and who employs transgender workers, I am offended that you would squander our limited taxpayer resources paying lawyers to defend this infantile nonsense in federal court. Many of you claim to live according to the Bible and your Christian religion. So you have certainly read Romans 16:33, in which Paul asks, who knows the mind of the Lord? Those of you who would pass this bill into the full House claim to know the mind of God. There are more genders than you are aware of. There are more biological sex than you are aware of. You do not know the mind of God. I sit before you as a father.
Your time is
Every
up.
constituent who votes or who will vote
Your
is a
time
parent
is
or a
up.
child. Every person affected by this bill.
Your time is up. Would you move him from one table?
Making health decisions for our families and our children. Something very important to me who I love is unconditionally.
You had 2 minutes. Like everyone else, your time is up, sir. Thank you for your comments.
You are loved. We will prevail against. I'm relaxed as I can be. You are loved.
I don't think this is fair to the people that want to speak against the bill to limit their time when we have sat here for the last 45 minutes and listened to those who are in favor of the bill.
Representative Allen, I understand that. We have 16 people. If they speak 2 minutes apiece, that'll be about equal to what these other four have talked.
But those 16 people were on the agenda when it started. I think that if we're going to be fair with this, we should have limited it at the beginning and not at the end when we have people that want to speak against it.
No matter what happens here today, you are loved. You are loved. No matter what happens today, we will prevail over this injustice.
There was a lot packed into that question. Must have taken some time to write.
So my first question I wanted to ask about, there's a recent New York Magazine article about how the White House polices language in Washington that I'm sure you read the other day. And a particular graph points to an Associated Press memo that advises reporters against using the word crisis, which the administration has said that they're not going to use the word crisis for the border. It cites a person close to the White House as saying that one very real possibility is that the strategy works. They may get criticism and think pieces about it, but at his 100-day mark, Biden is the most liberal president we've had, and the public thinks he's a moderate. That's a winning strategy to me. They're willing to accept that you're going to write this piece as long as they know that swing voters in Colorado aren't going to read it. So does this reflect the White House's thinking that the goal is for Americans to view the president as moderate as he pursues, according to the, quote, the most liberal agenda that we've seen?
There was a lot packed into that question. Must have taken some time to write. I will say that our goal is to implement solutions as it relates to the challenges at the border and not to be caught up in semantics of what we call it. Because at the end of the day, what we've seen is a massive reduction in the number of children who are being detained in Border Patrol facilities thanks to the actions of this administration. We've seen a massive reduction in the number of hours kids spend in Border Patrol facilities. And we're continuing to work to get kids into the arms of their family members or to sponsor homes. And that's what our objective is. I can't speak to a blind anonymous quote from somebody outside of the White House, which we'd all be for banning those if others would want to commit to that as well.
The response to losing that election in 2016 was to introduce this bill to cause millions of illegal immigrants to be registered to vote for Democrats, to cause felons and criminals to be registered to vote for Democrats. This is a brazen power grab by the Democrats because you've decided democracy isn't worth it. You want to fix the game so the voters don't have control over our election.
Okay, so I have so much issues with what you just said because I'm thinking back to 2016 when, in fact, Hillary Clinton conceded the election, when in fact we had an electoral college. I know because Senator Blunt and I were in charge of it, and then Vice President Biden was presiding over it, and it went through. We didn't object to those results. Then let's fast forward to the day of the insurrection, to January 6th, when in fact you, Senator Cruz, not all of your colleagues here today, you were contesting the Electoral College. You were leading, one of the leaders on the effort to say that the election results were not correct. And so you wonder why we want to make sure that people have the right to vote. Well, it's because of this kind of rhetoric and this kind of behavior and an insurrection at the Capitol and a former president that is still maintaining that he somehow won the election when we all know it's not true.
You just said a moment ago that no Democrat favors abolishing the police. If you don't support abolishing the police, why do you keep voting for nominees who advocate abolishing the police?
As you well know, Senator Cruz, that is a complete distortion of their positions. We're not here to talk about those nominees. If you want to stay, we can do it at the end of the hearing, but right now we're going to move on. I turn to my Democratic colleagues if either of them have any opening statements. Senator Feinstein.
Senator Cruz, Mr. Chairman, asserts that ghost guns are not a problem.
Ocasio-Cortez, she went and hid. She couldn't take it.
I'm looking for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's office.
Somebody had a great point that AOC, she might be in daycare because she has a child. And she has notes, all kinds of notes. Oh, we can leave her a note.
This is like so elementary.
This looks like a progressive feminist, maybe Planned Parenthood or NARAL came and visited AOC and all wrote her notes. We're going to ask her if Common Core math helped get her through college. And Trump.
Socialism sucks? No. Add this to it. Trump, baby.
That's good. Trump is your president. I like that.
Smiley face. Smile. Trump is your president.
Yeah,
added a message to them right there.
A traitor. They locked the door. Wait, what? Excuse me, I'm an American citizen. I pay taxes. I'd like to speak to.
They locked the door.
Speak to someone in Congress.
Hello. Hang on.
Oh my gosh.
Hello, Ocasio. Staff members for Ocasio, we'd like to. We are your employers. We are here to.
There's lights on in there.
Inspect the office. Could we please come in? I thought locks were immoral. I thought locks were for bigots. Yeah.
Wait.
Walls were immoral.
This is immoral.
This is immoral.
I'm so offended. I'm offended. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I'm an American citizen. I pay your salary through the taxes that you collect from me through the IRS because I'm a tax-paying citizen of the United States. I'm a woman, I'm a female business owner, and I'm proud to be an American woman. And I do not support your socialist policies, and I do not support your murderous abortion policies. As a mother of 3 children, I'm appalled at New York's law for abortion, and it needs to end and it needs to stop now. You're bringing God's judgment on our country, and I'm against it, as well as my friends. So you need to stop being a baby and stop locking your door and come out and face the American citizens that you serve. If you want to be a big girl, you need to get rid of your diaper and come out and be able to talk to the American citizens instead of us having to use a flap, a little flap.
It's kind of like her. She's kind of flappy. She's like, she keeps flapping her gums.
Oh, flappy.
Okay, well,
this is like child games. Bye bye, Ocasio-Cortez. Bye bye, baby. Bye bye, baby. Bye bye, little baby girl. We're gonna fix her sticky notes because you know what? They have it wrong. You know, the kids in daycare at AOC's office, they have it wrong. So they put the sticky notes on the welcome sign. So we gotta make sure it's right. No, we're not gonna mess them up. Those are her notes. Those are her feel good, be special notes. So we're gonna make sure that it shows the welcome sign because everyone's welcome in America. Uh-oh. That was a mistake. Let's fix it. We gotta fix. Let's fix this. Nope, not destroying them at all.
We need to make sure that
Illegals are welcome, and babies are murdered. But here at her office, that was covered up. She's a big girl. She needs to keep things clean and know that people are welcome. I need to see Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. Hey, look, as a woman, I do not want to have to wear a burqa one day. I need to go talk to these women. Yes, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar. All right, where do we find them? This way. Okay, yeah, I need to go talk to them about my rights. Ilhan Omar. Everyone is so terrified of us that we have our own security guy that is following us everywhere we go.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said this morning, when asked about kind of the issues within his own party, that, quote, 100% of my focus is on stopping this new administration.
100% of my focus is on stopping this new administration. We're confronted with severe challenges from a new administration and a narrow majority of Democrats in the House and a 50-50 Senate to turn America into a socialist country, and that's 100% of my focus.
And he touted kind of the unity within his caucus from Susan Collins to Ted Cruz. Are you concerned that it will be difficult to work with Republicans when you have these kind of statements coming from their leader?
Well, I guess the contrast for people to consider is 100% of our focus is on delivering relief to the American people, on getting the pandemic under control and putting people back to work. And we welcome support, engagement, and work with the Republicans on that. And the president has extended an open arm to that. The door to the Oval Office is open. He's invited Senator Capito to bring a group of her choosing to the White House next week. And we think there is opportunity for agreement to deliver on relief to the American people.
We took the Capitol, and we're not stopping. I will be back tonight.
When I was 18 years old, I was saved by Jesus Christ. I dedicated my life to the Lord. And last year, I honestly put a man above Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. I believed in man. I believed what was being told to me. He was the president of our United States, and I believed him because he's the president of our United States. And so because of that, I went to Washington like he called us to, having no clue what to expect, having no clue what was about to happen. I just knew that the president of our United States told me to go there. I got wrapped up in what was being told to me, in what was on the TV, what the media was proclaiming.
If you guys do not see that this man is for the American people and protecting you as the American people, you need to wake up.
When election night happened and everything was going on, I truly believed that Trump won the election. As of right now, I acknowledge and I know that Joe Biden is our president. That's not a mystery. That's a fact. But I felt like, maybe I believed that America was being robbed of a president, and I now know that was a lie.
We, the people, need to be heard. We're done with false elections. We're done with stealing the election. We penetrated the Capitol building. We broke the window, got into the room, and we barricaded the door, broke everything so we have something to use against them. I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe, but we're not backing down.
24! I can't breathe! Standing against American people! fuck wrong with y'all?
I've realized I've been misled a few days after, immediately after. What happened that day should not have happened. We should not attack law enforcement. We should not attack our American government. I blame myself. I take full accountability for my actions. And because of that, you know, I have gone to God and asked for forgiveness.
I am all for the wall. I would secure the wall. We can't have a state, we can't have a country without a secure wall. I love this state. The state's done so much for me over the years, but I've watched it crumble right in front of my eyes. I don't really care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a libertarian, vegetarian. You know, it doesn't make any difference to me. I want solutions. If the Democrats are able to come up with great solutions, I am behind that 100%. Solutions to bring this state back and to give the power of this state back to the people and not to special interests in Gavin Newsom. He's been bad on every issue. He's bad on taxes. Obviously, the most taxed state in the nation. He's been horrible for business. Obviously, companies are leaving left and right. 18,000 companies have left California. My friends are leaving California. Actually, we're at my hangar. The guy across right over from me, he was packing up his hangar. I said, "Where are you going?" And he says, "I'm moving to Sedona, Arizona. I can't take it here anymore. I can't walk down the streets and see the homeless." I don't want to leave. Okay, either I stay and fight or I get out of here.
Would you eliminate sanctuary status for the state of California?
I would keep it a sanctuary state for small businesses.
Meaning?
You know, meaning I want small businesses to come into this state. You know, I want people to create wealthier. I want them to employ people. Yeah, but as far as immigration, no, I am not on that. We need to spend some money to have a fair and equitable immigration system. I am for securing this state. I am pro law enforcement. I'm pro border protection. Okay, ICE, pro ICE. We need these people, and they do a wonderful job. I am 100% behind our police force. I would be very tough on rioting, using as many forces as I could possibly use to stop the rioting, protect the citizens and the businesses of this community. I think that's extremely important. The National Guard. Whatever we need to keep peace. This is a question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girls' sports in school. It just isn't fair. I stick with my statements that I made. I think we have to make sure that the integrity of girls' sports is there. I think that's extremely important. It's like there's one set of rules for Sacramento, and there's another set of rules for everybody else. Now, we're going to go find my plane around the corner. I'm going to take you for a flight.
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect.
We don't know whether the pandemic started in a lab in Wuhan or evolved naturally, but we should want to know. To arrive at the truth, the U.S. government should admit that the Wuhan Virology Institute was experimenting to enhance the coronavirus's ability to infect humans. For years, Dr. Ralph Barrick, a virologist in the U.S., has been collaborating with Dr. Shi Zhengli of the Wuhan Virology Institute, sharing his discoveries about how to create superviruses. This gain-of-function research has been funded by the NIH. Dr. Fauci, do you still support funding of the NIH funding of the lab in Wuhan?
Senator Paul, with all due respect, you are entirely and completely incorrect that the NIH has not ever and does not now fund gain-of-function research in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
Do they fund Dr. Barrick?
We do not fund.
Do you fund Dr. Barrick's gain-of-function research?
Dr. Barrett does not doing gain-of-function research, and if it is, it's according to the guidelines, and it is being conducted in North Carolina.
You don't think inserting a bat virus spike protein that he got from the Wuhan Institute into the SARS virus is gain of function?
That is
You would
not
be in the minority because at least 200 scientists have signed a statement from the Cambridge Working Group saying that it is gain of function.
Well, it is not. And if you look at the grant and you look at the progress reports, it is not gain of function, despite the fact that people tweet that.
So do you still support sending money to the Wuhan Virology Institute?
We do not send money now to the Wuhan Virology
Do you support
Institute.
sending money? We did, under your tutelage. We were sending it through EcoHealth. It was a sub-agency and a sub-grant. Do you support that the money from NIH that was going to the Wuhan Institute?
Let me explain to you why that was done. The SARS-CoV-1 originated in bats in China. It would have been irresponsible of us if we did not investigate the bat viruses and the serology to see who might have been infected.
Or perhaps it would be
in China.
irresponsible to send it to the Chinese government that we may not be able to trust with this knowledge and with this incredibly dangerous viruses. Government scientists like yourself who favor gain-of-function research.
I don't favor gain-of-function research in China. You are saying things that are not correct.
Will you, in front of this group, categorically say that the COVID-19 could not have occurred through serial passage in a laboratory?
I do not have any accounting of what the Chinese may have done, and I'm fully in favor of any further investigation of what went on in China. However, I will repeat again, the NIH and NIAID categorically has not funded gain-of-function research to be conducted in the Wuhan Institute of Virology.
You support it in the U.S. We have 11 labs doing it, and you have allowed it here. We have a committee to do it, but the committee has granted every exemption. You're fooling with Mother Nature here. You're allowing superviruses to be created with a 15% mortality. It's very dangerous. I think it was a huge mistake to share this with China, and it's a huge mistake to allow this to continue in the United States. And we should be very careful to investigate where this virus came from.
I fully agree that you should investigate where the virus came from, but again, we have not funded gain-of-function research on this virus in the Wuhan Institute of Virology, no matter how many times
you're parsing
you say
words.
it.
There
it
was
didn't happen.
research.
Dr. Fauci, what is the impact of conspiracy theories peddled by Senator Rand Paul and others on Americans' willingness to take this vaccine? A vaccine that, by all accounts, is remarkable for its safety and efficacy.
Certainly are not helpful in what we're trying to do. I guess I can say that with some degree of confidence.
that this purity at the ballot box justification was also used during the Jim Crow era to prevent black people from voting?
No, those are troubling things.
What was your motivation for using that term purity at the ballot box? Because that's a specific set of words that has a lot of meaning in state history.
You may have figured out by now I really like the state constitution, and I think as a legislative body, just as Congress should, they should be looking for their authority from their charter, from the thing that gives them power.
Did you look at the history before using that word?
No. The only thing, if we were to have a discussion, maybe over some coffee or a drink, somebody I could go into the details of Article 1 really well. I've read the debates in the journals of the Convention of 1875 on that for that thing, but I'm not familiar with the one.
You may have missed it then.
Article 6.
And this would have been very obvious, I think, to anybody who looked at that and looked at that language. That provision was drafted specifically to disenfranchise black people, black voters, in fact, following the Civil War. Did you know that?
No, I'm sorry to hear that.
And are you familiar with white primaries?
We've heard and read of such thing. I'm glad
have you read about those?
It's a disgusting thing, yes.
Did you realize that purity of the ballot box language in the Texas Constitution gave rise to all white primaries?
No, I didn't.
And did you know that this purity at the ballot box justification was also used during the Jim Crow era to prevent black people from voting?
No, those are troubling things. I didn't know that was their
Did you know that in states across the country that penal disenfranchisement schemes were put in place, including in Texas, as far back as 1845, to effectively lock African American people out of the political process? Are you aware of this history?
You know, I think we said a few times that I wasn't aware of any kind of malicious intent in the use of that term.
Okay.
And the reason it was used is I looked at the Constitution because I believe our authority is derived from the people, and that's why.
Gentleman's time's expired.
The history lesson is not only something that harkens back to Jim Crow or even that purity of the ballot box language. I mean, we're seeing it real time here in Texas. During the last decade, we have multiple findings of intentional discrimination against the Texas legislature in voting rights matters, not 50 years ago, not in black and white, but real time and digital during the last decade. So it's something that continues to happen in this state, already the toughest state in which to cast a vote in the union, and Republicans are continuing to pile on.